So what's up guys, it's Ash here and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video guys, I have the best formations and custom tactics in FC24 for you. Basically these are the formations and tactics that I'm using in the current weekend league. So we've got the full game plan from ultra defensive to ultra attacking, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, let's get started guys, I hope you enjoy. If you guys want coins for FC24, make sure you check out MMOEXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very fast, they're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you use my code Rema you can get yourself a lovely 5% discount. Alright then guys, so when I go into a game, the first thing I'll usually do is switch to this 4-2-3-1 tactic. Now ignore the labels where it says like defensive and that, really doesn't matter. These are just the slots that I put the tactics in. Doesn't really have any correlation a lot of the time because, for example, my 4-4-2 is not the most defensive, so just ignore that. So when I go into the game, I'll often start off with this 4-2-3-1, and the reason I do this is because I find the 4-2-3-1 to be extremely balanced. So what you can do with this formation is kind of like feel out your opponent to see what kind of player you're playing against, to see if you need to be aggressive, to see if you need to be a bit more defensive. So the 4-2-3-1 is great for this, and it's a great formation to go into a game with. So for the tactics, the defensive style, we have this on balanced. Gives you the best control over your defense. When you want to press your opponent, you can do that. Then when you want to be more passive, you can also do that. For the width, I have this on 35. This allows us to be really nice, narrow and compact, which will block all those attacks through the middle, which makes it difficult for your opponent to break you down. When it comes to cutbacks as well, you can manually position your players out wide to help prevent that, but I don't find it very necessary to have a high width because if somebody's going to go for a cutback, they'll do it anyway. For the depth, we have this on 71. This is for the broken pressure tactic thing that we're seeing at the moment. Something EA need to fix, but at the moment it is very effective. So, you know, a lot of the top players will use this because it is very overpowered. So 71 depth, yet again, very important. For the build-up play, guys, we have this on balance. Gives you the most control when you are building up. When you want to play quickly, you can do that. And when you want to slow it down, you can also do that. Chance creation, direct passing, very important. It's the only tactic which will help you beat those park the bus players because your players will like make those track back runs to give you a passing option. For the width on the attack, we have this on 38. Keeps your players nice and tight together so you can play lots of short little passes, and when you want to take a player out wide, you can also do that. For players in box, I have this on 7. Gets quite a lot of players into the box to give us the best chance of scoring. The trade-off here is obviously that when you lose the ball, you are at risk of getting counter-attacked. Corners and free kicks are on 2. Does not really matter what you have them on. Now for the instructions, guys, sorry I choked on my words there. On the striker, we just have him on getting behind. I'm really liking balance width at the moment. You know, you get a lot more movement out of the player. They're not as static, so balance width is great. Getting behind means this player will always look to make those darting runs in behind, which is very useful because a lot of people are using those high defensive lines at the moment. For the central cam, we just have him on get into the box for cross. This is so he isn't hesitant to get into the penalty area and help us out. For the wide cams, very important, come back on defense. Makes it defending like a 4-man midfield, so these 2 cams will come back next to the CDMs to block out that space, making it difficult for your opponent to attack you down the wings. We also have them on get into the box for cross for the same reason as the other cams, where they will always look to help you out in the penalty area. Now for the more defensive minded CDMs, stay back while attacking, cut passing lanes and cover centre. Pretty self-explanatory on stay back, he is a defensive minded player. Cut passing lanes means he's always going to look to intercept those passes and help you regain possession. Cover centre means he will defend those central areas. For the more box-to-box style player, we also have him on the same instructions. This is so you can like manually pick and choose when you send him forward, because sometimes on balanced attack they overcommit way too much without you wanting to, so it's better to like commit them yourself and drag them forward when you want. That being said, you can also have them on balance, doesn't really matter. For one of your more attacking fullbacks, balanced overlap is great because it gives you extra width in the attack, which is very useful and underrated, and still a lot of people don't use this. And then for the other more defensive minded player, we have them on stay back. This is so you have at least 3 defenders back at a time, meaning you're pretty defensively sound. Keeper and centre backs are the same. We just leave them alone, we don't touch them. Sorry to interrupt the video guys, but I have noticed around 90% of you that watch the content are not subscribed, so if you are finding any of these videos helpful, please be sure to hit that subscribe button as it does help me out massively. Also don't forget to drop the video a like as well. And with all that aside guys, let's get back to the video. If the person I'm playing against is very sweaty and I have to play like the most meta FIFA in order to win, then I will often use the 4-3-2-1 because I still believe it to be like the most ratty, most meta formation, if you get what I mean. Can be a little bit boring, but it is very effective. So if I'm playing against a very good player, I'll often use the 4-3-2-1 as it is the most efficient. So on this, the tactics are pretty similar to the 4-2-3-1. Defensive style on balance for the exact same reason, gives you the most control over your defense. The width on 35 again keeps us nice, narrow and compact, stops your opponent being able to just walk right through the middle of you. Again, we have the depth on 71 for that overpowered automatic pressure, which is very useful in this game. Again, I hope EA fix it, but right now, very important to use it, I think. Now for the build-up play, again, balance gives you the most control when you are building up. You can pick and choose when and where you use each form of build-up. So if you want to play slowly, you can do that. And then if you want to speed it up, you can also do that. Again, chance creation, direct passing. It's the only way you'll get like those track back runs from your attackers to beat those park the bus players. Very important again. Width on 31 keeps your players nice and narrow so you can link up the play very quickly. And again, when you want to take somebody out wide, you can do that. Players in box, again, we have this on 7. You know, get a lot of players into the box to help us finish off those chances. For the corners and free kicks, again, we have these on 2, but this is a preference thing. For the player instructions on this formation, guys, on the striker, again, we just have him on getting behind with balanced width. Again, this is very important because we do want this player to get in behind the opposition defense, because a lot of these players are using high defensive lines, so the getting behind instruction is very important, even if it is a little boring. Balanced width has also worked out very well with this formation because you get more movement out of the striker than if you were to just limit them to staying central. Now for the forwards, guys, on the right forward, I have him on balance width and getting behind. This is for the same reason as the striker. You get really nice movement with balance width, and getting behind again gets him in behind the opposition defense. And then on the other forward, an important instruction, come back on defense, and the rest is the same as the right forward. Now the reason we have him on come back on defense is because it'll make us defend in a 4-4-2 shape, very similar to what we do with the 4-2-3-1. This left forward will come back to defend as a left mid in the 4-4-2 shape, meaning we've got really good coverage of the narrow and the wide areas when we don't have the ball. So the left forward, again, come back on defense as well as balance width and get in behind. Now for the left centre mid, I use a more box-to-box style player in Marcus Llorente. So we have him on the default settings in cover centre. Default settings because he is a box-to-box player, so we don't just want to restrict him to defending. And then cover centre is obviously important to block out those central areas. For the middle centre mid, I use a more defensive-minded player, so we have him on stay back cover center. Again, pretty self-explanatory here. And then because we use an actual attacker in this right center mid spot, we have him on get forward, get into the box cross and cover wing. This is because, like I said, he's an attacker. We want him to get forward, and the cover wing makes him defend as a right mid in the 4-4-2 shape. And then again, on your most attacking fullback, balanced overlap is great. And then on the more defensive one, stay back and overlap, so you've always got at least 3 defenders back at a time. And then the 2 centre backs and the keeper, again, we do not touch them. If my other tactics aren't working and I want to try something a little bit different, this 4-4-2 tactic here that I use is actually insane. We got this from Div10 Moment on Twitter, and these tactics are crazy. So the defensive style, again, the same, the width the same, the depth the same as the other ones, the balanced and direct passing for these 2 settings are the same. The width we have on 25 keeps your attack very nice and narrow, but the instructions make up for this lack of width in a moment. Players in box we have on 6, and then the corners and free kicks we have on 2. So these custom tactics are pretty similar to the other formations, but it's the instructions that make this so good. So for the instructions, guys, on the left striker, stay central and mixed attack. For the right striker, drift wide, get in behind and stay forward. The left mid we have on stay forward, get into the box for a cross and get in behind. Now what this does is it kind of makes this team play out a bit like a 4-3-3, a 4-3-2-1 a lot of the time. When you don't have the ball, you get like that 4-3-3 structure, and when you get the ball back, it really confuses your opponent because your players are always moving around in different positions and it's very hard to predict. So so even though these instructions seem really random, they are actually very good. Now on the right mid we have them on comeback, get in behind and and get into the box for cross. The right centre mid, my more defensive one, we have him on stay back and cover wing. The left centre mid, the more box to box player, we leave him on the default settings, and then we have him on get into the box for cross and cover centre. Then for the fullbacks, guys, on one of them, balanced inverted, which is actually really underrated. Gives you a lot of options when you're going forward, to be fair. And then the other fullback, just balanced attack and then default on the run type. And then the two centre backs and the keeper, we leave them alone and we don't touch them. So yeah, this tactic, although it seems really random, very, very good, guys. Please give it a go, and let me know what you think, because I really enjoy it. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this one, but I use this 4-2-4 tactic when I really need a goal. So I'll only use this in very specific situations when I need a goal with like 5 minutes to go. So these are very aggressive and I don't suggest using them all the time. So we have constant pressure on, so we can always try and get that ball back. Width and depth, very similar to the other formations. I've explained this enough now. We don't need to go through that again. Balanced and direct passing, again, the same. Width we have on 49 because it is a bit of a wider formation than the other ones. Players in box 6, and then corners and free kicks still on 2. For the instructions, guys, on both the strikers, stay central, get in behind. These are the most meta options you can have, the most direct options, so this works really well with this tactic. The wingers, we have them on stay forward and get in behind. Again, looking to get in behind that defensive line, and we have them on stay forward, so if our opponent does try and attack us, we can counter him if we get the ball back. Very risky to have all 4 attackers staying forward, but again, very necessary when you're trailing by a goal. For the left centre mid, guys, the more defensive ones, still have them on stay back and cover centre. This is so we always have at least one defensive player in the team. You still want to have a little bit of balance, otherwise you're just going to get absolutely destroyed. The box-to-box player, we have him on the default settings in cover centre, and then on the more attacking fullback, we just have him on balance, and then the other one we still have him on stay back. So we've still got a little bit of balance, but these tactics are very, very aggressive, and I only use them when I need a goal. But yeah, guys, that is it for the video. If you have enjoyed or found it useful, please be sure to drop it a like, sub to the channel if you are new, and don't forget to turn on notifications. And with all that aside, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out, guys.